the whole Donald Trump is racist grift or scam or play, whatever you want to call it, the play that the media has been running for years and years and years, basically a decade, it's all finally starting to backfire. And a pretty interesting thing is happening. The media, primarily the white men in media, they really have come to believe their own hype. They've convinced themselves that Donald Trump is racist. And I think they just assume that everyone else believes what they say. So instead of actually doing their jobs and asking Kamala Harris even one question, just any question at all, instead of doing that, they're just showing up in random places and interviewing random black people about Donald Trump. And it's not going well because people are not stupid.
Is Donald Trump a racist?
I'm gonna be honest with you. Until I see something for myself that would paint in my mind or give me the information, the evidence, hey, he's racist, I would say yes. But currently, that man hasn't done anything or said anything that made me look at him and go, oh, he's a racist.
If you ask social media, is he a racist? Is it a little more clean?
Oh, yeah, it's clean cut.
Yeah. What's happening over there?
It has been painted in the media for him, because they take sound bites of him, they take about his speeches, and they can turn them into him targeting one specific type of race in a sense like that. But like him, unless there's a defining image of him being racist, then he's racist to me.
I'm going to be brutally honest. I work for this man. I work for the Trump Park condominium. I did private security for him. And if you actually work for this man, you will see he has one of the most diverse companies you can work for. I'm talking about from Polish to Dominican to Russian, you name it, they work for him. And he treats them all well. He treated me like a king. I've been around this man, and he's always been good. I've watched him in New York City. Every rapper in New York City has mentioned this man for a reason. Because he does do things in the community.
It's funny you say that.
If you pay attention to his presidency, he did do stuff for historical black colleges and inner city, things like that. So this is what I tell people, get to know the person first. Do your homework,
I mean, it's great to see, man. People actually thinking for themselves, people trusting their own eyes, trusting their own intuition, and actually just making decisions based on their own viewpoints instead of just being led around by the shorts by lazy propagandists in the media. And obviously, I'm not surprised by this. I know you're not surprised, but the media, especially the people on places like CNN, they're as surprised as I think they ever have been by anything. And I think it's more than surprised. I think they're disappointed. They're disappointed that the harder they gaslight, the less people actually believe them.
Last week, before Trump appeared at the NABJ, Joel D., a Harrisburg, Pennsylvania CBS network anchor, went to a central Pennsylvania barbershop seeking some candid conversation. Among the revelations, that some of the black men that he interviewed did not regard Harris as black.
Is Kamala going to make you a little more likely or less likely to vote Democrat?
Hold on, wait, first, Ray, hold on, Ray. Is Kamala black, yes or no?
I'm going to let her speak on that. But to me, no.
Oh, is Kamala black, yes or no?
I share that same view.
Wow, is Kamala black, yes or no?
I heard she's half black and half Asian.
When I played that audio on my SiriusXM radio program on Thursday, many callers who self-identified as African American were quick to tell me that those men were the exception, not the rule. Some described them as low information voters, no different than you'd find among whites. Trump is outperforming other Republican presidential candidates for the black vote. Recent polling by the New York Times and Siena shows him capturing 23% of the black vote. Compare that to the last GOP nominee, Mitt Romney, who in 2012 received only 6% of the black vote against Barack Obama.
Yeah, so everything's okay. It's not time to start worrying. The guy at CNN says that these guys don't speak for anyone. People like this don't speak for anyone because they're just low information. Like a lot of whites, you'll find, is what he says. But I'm going to show you more of this clip because it's absolutely fantastic, man. And one thing that I think you'll agree with, these guys are not low information. They do not seem at all like they're low information. I mean, these are sharp guys. They know exactly what they're talking about. And I think the CNN propagandist knows it, right? And here's the thing, man. I mean, this This was actually filmed before Trump went to the NABJ. So whether they like it or not, Donald Trump isn't saying anything that people aren't already talking about, right? Because these guys were talking about it too. But CNN says that they were just talking about it basically because they're stupid. I mean, you be the judge. Let me know in the comments. Are these guys low information?
Financial transactions.
Yo, Ray, you listen, Ray, you from the hood though.
Yep.
So your perspective is did your political perspective shift because you're in a different income bracket than you were when you were a kid? Because a lot of that times that happens. You know what I mean? You start off as a Democrat because you're told as a brown skinned person to be a Democrat. Yeah. But then all of a sudden you start putting money in your pocket. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Walking around with the Yankee fitted. You know what I mean?
I grew up in a liberal city,
So
liberal
now-
household. That was like. I always say we've been indoctrinated.
Yeah.
And and that was several generations of my family. And as I went into the military, college, had kids, became a business owner, my viewpoints completely changed. I'm more in the middle now, if anything. And I see things completely different than when I did when I was at 18, 25, 30, 35. I'm 45 now.
Do you think Democrats take your vote for granted?
Yes, they do. I obviously feel that way because I've heard things, seen things, and experienced things through all these political races since I was 18 where they play the brown and black card very heavy all the time. And they try to get things to shift and move with things that are unimportant. Like I've seen like when they, all the Democrats had wore all the African wardrobe, it was the incorrect wardrobe. Like, you didn't even ask questions. I
remember that.
Yeah,
did Pelosi do that too?
Yeah,
I think everybody was
Pelosi, yeah. And it's like, you didn't even do your homework.
Huh. But on the same respect, do you think Republicans have reached out to try to capture the black vote or the Latino vote at all?
I would say more recently, yes. In the past, no. More recently, yes. I can see that. But in the past, no.
That's your take. What's going on over there when it comes to Democrats maybe taking it off for granted?
Crazy to me that people who have served this country, like me, cannot have a place to stay, cannot get this help, the same kind of resources. It's crazy.
That's where a lot of frustration comes in. That's what I hear of most of. I hear a lot of stuff like that as far as benefits being given to an undocumented person over like an American. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's when I start hearing people be like, okay, hold on, that does bother me.
So not only we have people coming into country and we're taking money and pumping it into people coming into this country, but we're also pumping money into other countries, but we're not taking care of the people here.
What's going on in Ukraine is crazy.
It's crazy.
But they're giving so much money over there, man.
But you don't have money to help anybody out here.
Billions of dollars. And me and my wife just came back from LA, man, where I'm telling you right now, I've never seen more homeless people in Los Angeles in my life, though. And there's zero money going to them. Well, you know what I mean?
There is, but it's like how to do it and how to do it fairly, and all that is vicious.
Yes.
International politics. Like, you're into it. I want to know if you're into it. 18. Are you into international politics? With Ukraine, Gaza?
The moment that like Putin like invades, I'm like, what is going on?
What's going on? Yeah.
Because like in my time, we've been close to like, what's gonna happen here? Is it gonna escalate? Is it gonna get higher? Like, with North Korea, that was a whole situation that happened. That was a whole thing. But like with Ukraine, it's like we pledged to help them, and sometimes we do, but we also have to think about what's happening here, and also the amount of stuff that we're giving away.
Are you worried about anybody overseas? Do you worried about Russia coming over here? You worried about North Korea doing anything? You worried about any of these countries with the hostilities towards Americans? Are you worried about the shores being invaded by anybody?
Not much, no.
Honestly, man, I didn't hear any low information here, right? This 18-year-old kid has a better handle on things and a more reasoned outlook than I think most middle-aged virtue signaling white liberals, at least the ones that I've ever met, right? Facts, reason, and common sense. But CNN, I mean, they want you to believe that any minority that doesn't believe and repeat every bad thing that they say about Donald Trump is just some simpleton dumbass, some low information voter. And that's what they want to believe, right? Which is actually pretty funny because when you think about it, they actually expect people to vote for Kamala Harris literally because of her color and her parts. And it doesn't really get any more low information than that. But take a look at this, guys. I mean, this is what 10 years of propaganda really does. this is what our divisive tribalist politics have given us. I mean, these guys won't talk about who they'll actually vote for because I think they know that no matter what they say, they're going to have to listen to it. They're going to have to hear some garbage. I think this is what the silent majority now looks like.
All right. The election's today. You're going in there. What you doing?
I'm not voting for neither, but I wouldn't mind if Trump won, but I'm voting for Kennedy. Like, honestly, yeah.
Oh, wow. All right. Yeah. You went the other direction. I did not give you that. That was very astute of you. If you want to go Green Party, I will allow it. For you, the election is today.
I would have to say nobody.
Wow.
Just because I haven't been paying attention at all this year, honestly. And then I know Biden just dropped, so it's not like I'm just going to go vote for Trump. Maybe if he had something that he would do or...
So it looks like they have time. Okay, I said today's the election. It's actually not. So they have time. You're saying you're up for grabs. You could vote for someone if you were inspired to.
Yeah, if I was inspired to. There you go.
There you go. Okay, we're going to leave you blank on this. We're going to come over to you.
Today.
Neither.
So we have 4 people on the record here, and nobody is voting for Harris or Trump in this group. Wow.
Incredible stuff, man.
Wow.
Do they got time? Do they got time to get you though? It's like 100 some days.
And you said RFK is about to run, or
I'm gonna write him in. I'm gonna write him in. I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't mind if Trump's president, but I think America needs change, and real change is not one of them.
Yeah.
Right.
Wow.
It's possible that they don't vote. I mean, it's also possible that they vote third party. Anything can happen, right? But I think it's also very, very possible that they're just programmed to not tell some white propagandist in a black barbershop on TV that they support Donald Trump. They've seen how that usually plays out for people, but who knows? I mean, anything can happen, right? And people can vote for whoever they want to vote for. But if it comes down to actual policy, there's just no way that anyone can vote for Kamala Harris. I mean, she's been the candidate for weeks now. Still no press conference, still no actual interviews. And still, if you go to her website, there's no actual policy at all on her website, just identity, just pure lazy identity politics. This may be the shallowest and simplest presidential candidate in all of American history, right? And the media, I think the media knows it. And it's wild, man, because I think the media is sort of torn. They really don't want to keep having this race conversation because they know that there really is a serious conversation happening in minority communities about Kamala Harris right now. A lot of people really do not trust her, right? But on the flip side of that, the media also knows that they really don't want to talk about policy because, for one, there isn't any, right? So instead, they just keep finding new ways to call people that don't agree with them racist or low information.
No, I tend to agree, Simone. First of all, it's great to be back on the weekend again and see both of you. I think that's absolutely right on a certain level. There are those who call themselves ADOS, Americans of African descendants of slavery, and they are questioning whether or not she's black or not. And I think at the heart of that argument and at the heart of what Donald Trump is doing is a basic misunderstanding. Donald Trump is a little bit more sinister, right? There is this understanding of race in the United States that's very structured, that goes back to the one-drop rule. There's a conflation here of racial hierarchy and ethnicity that's going on here. In so many ways, I want to just say that this is a distraction, and it reveals not only how insidious Donald Trump is, but how dumb he is. This is a clown show on so many ways, and I don't want the campaign to get caught up in it. I want the campaign to continue to pursue its message. We're not going back, we're going forward. We don't want to go back to that mess, but those of us who have to address it, we need to address it with the seriousness of history and the seriousness of our moment, I think. But I think you're absolutely right that he's trying to appeal to those ADOS people, Simone. He absolutely is.
Think about what you just heard right there, man, because it's easy to miss what these people are actually saying when they say it's so polished, right? But he's saying a couple things. He's saying, first he's saying, don't you dare believe or repeat anything Donald Trump says because he's insidious and he's so dumb, which is kind of funny when you think about it. They want you to believe that Donald Trump is unintelligent, but at the same time, they want you to believe that he's so crafty and he's so tricky and he's such a con man in his messaging that he's smart enough to trick millions and millions and millions of people. But at the same time, these are the ones that are trying to trick people because now all of a sudden there's this new narrative. There's two kinds of black people in America, they say. There's the descendants of slaves and others. And they say it shouldn't matter what she is because of the one drop rule. Listen to that. These people are talking about the one drop rule. They're playing racial identity politics, and they're using the one drop rule to do it. And if you don't know what that is, that was basically a white supremacist ideology from 100 years ago, probably more than 100 years ago, that was literally used to disparage and destroy any white people that they thought may even have just one drop of black blood in their lineage. Now, 100 years ago, one drop was a racist trope. But now, in the year 2024, it's just the American left. I mean, this is what identity politics breeds. This is what it does. And it's not just this guy here, man. I mean, Democrats everywhere are now quoting the one drop rule. And some of them are getting like really, really pissed off about it. I mean, just watch this woman. These people, the left cannot handle it.
So I don't think this is necessarily a good thing. But what I will say is that for a lot of Americans, particularly a lot of Black Americans, there is some sense of discomfort about the fact that when you look at high profile, high status, successful Black Americans, many of them are themselves multiracial, first or second generation Americans, immigrants or kids of immigrants, or they're themselves intermarried. There are some folks, there's a group called the American Descendants of Slaves, ADOS, a kind of emerging movement that you see in some spaces where people say, hey, wait a second, you have folks who are not part of this multi-generational, long Black American story who are claiming this mantle. I'm not saying that's necessarily a good thing, Lulu.
I'm just saying that this is an argument that you are putting forward.
This is something I'm talking about as an analyst to describe the fact that the Black community is not a monolith. There are a lot of complicated, conflicted feelings. More than twice as many Black Americans oppose intermarriage as white Americans.
Your skin color is black, you're black. It is a completely ridiculous argument to be made in a country where you had the one drop, where you had the one drop rule, where you were actually penalized legally in this country if you had a single drop of black blood, to now say that this woman who is clearly black is somehow suspicious and is wearing a mantle and trying to assume some kind of ridiculous identity.
I'm describing public opinion. I'm describing the fact that this current does exist. And I think that when we're trying to understand the electorate,
let Raihan talk.
I think it's important to understand that this is one of those cleavages. I do not think that it was a good thing for Donald Trump to use this line of attack. I agree with Kara. Stick to policy.
This is not what Donald Trump. This is not what Donald Trump was doing. You are trying to explain something. If you asked Donald Trump, if you asked Donald Trump, what were you up to, Mr. Trump? He's not going to be like, that there's this current in the African American community that talks about the descendants of slavery. Do you think that is what he was up to? He was going there in order to do what he always does, which is to throw as much as he can against the wall and to see what sticks.
I'm afraid part of what I'm trying to do is actually try to give some insight into the fact that public opinion is changing, it's divided, and there is a big conversation about this. I don't think that this is the best angle to pursue, but I do think that when you're talking about the Black community, he's not looking to win 90% of the Black vote. He's looking at what are interesting cleavages and divides within that population, and this is one of them.
Yeah, she hopes it's a minor current. I don't think that it is, but I mean, my guess is this is not a minor current, because if it was, there would be no reason for these people to all be using the same talking points and all be so angry about it, man. I mean, think about all that's happened since Donald Trump's appearance at the Black Journalists Convention, right? The media has gone from talking about it to disparage and destroy Donald Trump to now they're talking about it to defend and protect Kamala Harris. And they're literally using racist ideology to do it, which is like, I mean, they're back to their roots, but it's amazing stuff. I mean, the Democrat Party, without a doubt, has gone back to their roots. And I'd bet that they absolutely regret ever bringing any of this stuff up. But that's all they have to talk about. Kamala Harris still hasn't done a presser, still hasn't done an interview, still no policy on her website, just the media talking about the one drop rule. And the one message that Kamala has, come back with is we're not going back, we're going forward. Sounds fantastic, but no one knows where we're coming from or where we're going to. But that's the message, we're not going back. And I say, I like that. Let's not go back to Biden-Harris, because I just can't imagine how that works for us. And I can't imagine how this messaging works for them. But that's just my take, guys. I thought you'd find that interesting. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. If you haven't already, be a part of our growth. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Most importantly, share the channel. I'll see you in the next one.